The orbital stadium hung above Nexara Prime, like a glittering crown, its transparent dome reflecting the light of 3 distant suns. I adjusted my sensory tendrils, trying to process what I was seeing on the pre-race briefing screens. My name is Vorn, and I serve as the official race coordinator for the Galactic Speed Championships. In my 47 cycles doing this job, I thought I had seen everything. I was wrong. They are sending WHO. My assistant Kelix chittered beside me, all 4 of his eye stalks extending in disbelief. Humans, I repeated, checking the registration data for the 5th time. From that little blue planet in the outer spiral, Earth they call it. Kelix made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a wheeze. His species, the Thrin, had perfected the art of dismissive snorting over millennia. The ones who just discovered faster-than-light travel, the primitives who still use combustion engines on their homeworld, was humans, the very same. I tapped the holographic display, bringing up their team information. 3 human pilots. Their ship laughably was designated as Unit 17, not even a proper name, just a number. The other race teams had already begun arriving. The Kurtaxi brought their biomechanical racer, grown from living metal and powered by quantum entanglement. The Zephyrin team unveiled their ship, a masterpiece of aerodynamic perfection that could bend light around its hull. Even the relatively new Yaltine Consortium had invested 20 million credits in gravitic dampeners alone. And the humans? Their ship looked like someone had welded a cargo hauler to a personal shuttle and called it a day. This will be entertaining, Kelix said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Perhaps we should prepare the medical teams now. Save time later when they inevitably crash into the first debris field. I should mention that the Galactic Speed Championships are not your typical racing event. We do not simply fly in circles around a track. Oh no, the course spans 3 solar systems, includes 12 types of gravitational anomalies, passes through an asteroid belt that has claimed 46 ships in the last decade, and features a section we simply call the Void, because 60% of racers black out from the G-forces involved. The entry fee alone is 500,000 credits. The humans paid it without hesitation. Should we warn them? Kelix asked, genuine concern creeping into his voice for the first time. About the difficulty level? We sent the standard information packet, I replied, though I felt a twinge of guilt. They acknowledged receiving it. The human team arrived 2 days before the race. I watched from the coordination tower as their shuttle docked. 3 beings emerged, wearing what appeared to be modified pressure suits covered in patches and handwritten notes. The tallest one, their team leader apparently, carried a device that looked suspiciously like a primitive tablet computer. Coordinator Vorn. The human extended a hand. A gesture I had learned meant greeting in their culture. I'm Jackson Mills, team captain. This is my crew. Lisa Torres, our navigation specialist, and Marcus Webb, our engineer. I returned the gesture awkwardly. Welcome to Nexara Prime. I trust your journey was pleasant. Jackson smiled, showing far too many teeth for my comfort. 17 jumps through hyperspace in a ship built 40 years ago. Yeah, it was a blast. The way he said it, I could not tell if he was being sincere or employing that peculiar human trait called sarcasm. Your racing vessel, I began carefully. Has it been inspected according to regulations? Yep, Lisa chimed in, pulling up her own tablet. Passed all the safety checks. Barely. But past is past, right? Marcus laughed, a sharp barking sound that made my tendrils retract involuntarily. They were very concerned about our propulsion system. Apparently nobody uses chemical rockets for initial thrust anymore. Who knew? Kelix, who had joined me for the greeting, could not contain himself. Chemical rockets. You are racing against ships with quantum drives, plasma propulsion and graviton manipulation using chemical rockets. Well, not just chemical rockets, Jackson said, that unsettling smile growing wider. We have a fusion drive for the main thrust, some gravity assists we rigged up, and, he paused, glancing at his teammates, a few other modifications. Modifications? I felt a sense of dread forming in my primary stomach. Trade secrets, Lisa said cheerfully. You understand, right? The next day was the mandatory team briefing. All 17 racing crews gathered in the main conference sphere. The Cortaxi team took up an entire section, their biosuits pulsing with bioluminescent pride. The Zephyrins floated in their containment fields, looking down on everyone with their usual superiority. The humans sat in the back row eating what appeared to be compressed nutrition bars and taking notes. I began the presentation. The course is approximately 14.6 million kilometers, spanning 3 connected solar systems. You will navigate through the Galactic Cascade, a region where 17 different gravitational fields intersect. Then the Crimson Veil asteroid cluster, followed by the Void, and finally the atmospheric descent through Nexera Prime's upper stratosphere. Quick question. Jackson raised his hand like a schoolchild. When you say atmospheric descent, you mean we are actually entering atmosphere? At racing speeds? Yes, I confirmed. The finish line is on the planet's surface. Most ships slow to sublight velocities for this portion. Most ships. Marcus leaned forward. What do the others do? They crash. The Corthaxi team leader rumbled, his translated voice echoing through the chamber. Or they burn up. Sometimes both. The humans looked at each other. Then impossibly they smiled. Cool. All three said in unison. The pre-race preparation period was 3 days. The other teams used this time to conduct final system checks, meditation rituals, or genetic optimization treatments. The humans used it to apparently rebuild their entire ship while arguing loudly and consuming alarming amounts of caffeine. I decided to observe them, call it morbid curiosity, but something about their absolute confidence in the face of impossible odds fascinated me. Hand me the torque wrench. Marcus yelled from inside the engine compartment. Which one? Lisa called back. The standard or the one you made from scrap metal? The scrap metal one. The standard one is too gentle. Jackson was in the cockpit, surrounded by holographic displays and what appeared to be hand-drawn diagrams. I think I figured out how to shave 0.3 seconds off our entry vector through the cascade. By doing what? I called out, unable to help myself. He looked up, surprised to see me. Oh hey coordinator, we are just running some simulations. If we enter the Galactic Cascade at a 17-degree angle instead of the recommended 45, we can use the competing gravitational fields to slingshot us through at almost double speed. That would tear apart most ships, I said slowly. Most ships, yeah, Jackson agreed. But our hull is reinforced steel alloy, old Earth material, primitive by your standards, but it can take one hell of a beating. We did some calculations, and the structural integrity should hold. Probably. 68% certainty. Lisa shouted from somewhere beneath the ship, which given our usual odds is practically a guarantee. I watched them work, these strange creatures from the edge of known space. They argued constantly, questioned every assumption, and treated the most dangerous race in the galaxy like it was a puzzle to be solved rather than a gauntlet to be survived. Why? I finally asked. Why enter this race? Your species has barely joined the galactic community. You have nothing to prove. Jackson set down his tools and looked at me. Really looked at me. Coordinator Vorn, with all respect to your experience and your species, you are wrong. We have everything to prove. We have been the new kids in the galaxy for 2 years now, Lisa added, emerging from beneath the ship covered in lubricant and grinning. Everyone treats us like we are children playing with toys we do not understand. Maybe they are right, Marcus said, joining them. Maybe we do not understand, but you know what humans are really good at. I waited, figuring things out as we go. All three laughed, that same unnerving sound. Race day arrived with appropriate ceremony. The stadium filled with 200,000 spectators from across known space. Bookmakers were taking bets on the order of finish. The odds for the human team winning were listed at 17,000 to 1. The odds for them simply surviving were slightly better at 900 to 1. I took my position in the coordination tower, watching as all 17 ships powered up their engines. The Zephyran vessel hummed with barely contained energy. The Corthaxi ship pulsed like a living heart. The Yaltine racer shimmered with gravitational distortions. In Unit 17, it rumbled. Loudly. Smoke actually poured from its chemical rocket arrays. All teams, report ready status, I commanded. 16 confirmations came immediately. The 17th took longer. Unit 17, ready status, I repeated. Static. Then Jackson's voice suspiciously cheerful. Oh, we are ready, coordinator. Just had to duct tape a panel back on, but we are golden. Duct tape. Adhesive bonding strip. Works great. Starting our countdown now. I exchanged glances with Kellex. His expression mirrored my own concern. All ships to starting positions. I initiated the launch sequence. The Galactic Speed Championships begin in 60 seconds. May skill and fortune guide your flight paths. The countdown began. 60, 50, 40. Inside Unit 17. I could see the humans through the external cameras. They were not meditating or focusing, or entering any kind of heightened state. They were fist-bumping each other and laughing. 20, 10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Launch. 16 ships leaped forward with elegant precision, their advanced drives propelling them instantly to sublight speeds. Unit 17 exploded off the starting line with a roar of chemical fire and what sounded suspiciously like human whooping transmitted over the open channel. Yeehaado. Jackson's voice echoed across every frequency. Let's show these folks how Earth does racing. And they were off. The first section was straightforward. A simple acceleration run through open space. The Zephyrin vessel took an early lead, as expected. The Korthaxi ship maintained second position. The other teams fell into predicted formations, except the humans. Unit 17 was accelerating. Still accelerating. Not slowing down. Not conserving energy for later stages. Just pure sustained acceleration using what appeared to be controlled explosions and sheer stubbornness. They are burning through their fuel reserves, Kellex observed. At this rate they will be running on fumes before the cascade. Perhaps that is their strategy, I mused. Though I could not imagine what strategy involved running out of fuel during a multi-system race. The gravitic cascade approached. This was where the real race began. The leading ships slowed, adjusting their approach vectors to the recommended safe angles. Navigating the cascade required delicate precision, using the gravitational fields to boost speed while avoiding the zones where competing gravities would simply tear a ship apart. Unit 17 did not slow down. Human team, I transmitted, you are approaching the cascade at unsafe velocity. Please reduce speed and adjust entry angle to standard parameters. Negative, Coordinator, Jackson responded. And I swear I could hear the grin in his voice. We are going with option B. There is no option B. There is now. Hold on to your tendrils, folks. This is going to get bumpy. And then I watched, horrified and fascinated, as the human ship dove into the gravitic cascade at that impossible 17-degree angle Jackson had mentioned, traveling at speeds that should have shredded their hull into constituent atoms. For a moment all I could see was chaos. The ship tumbled, spun, and seemed to bounce between gravitational fields like a stone skipping across water. Then it emerged on the other side, moving at nearly twice its entry speed, trailing smoke and debris but somehow still intact. And somehow, impossibly, it had passed 4 other ships in the process. The crowd went silent. Then the stadium erupted in a mixture of shocked disbelief and wild cheering. Did they just... Kellex could not finish the sentence. I checked the telemetry 3 times. Yes, they used the cascade as a gravitational slingshot. They planned for their ship to nearly tear apart, calculated the exact angle where it would hold together, and rode competing gravity fields like waves. That is insane. Yes, I agreed, unable to look away from my monitors. The Crimson Veil asteroid cluster loomed ahead like a wall of tumbling death. Millions of rocks ranging from pebble-sized fragments to planetoids large enough to have their own gravity, all spinning through space in chaotic patterns that changed every microsecond. The standard approach was simple. Slow down, plot a careful course, and navigate through the safest corridors. It added approximately 12 minutes to race time, but it kept you alive. The Zephyrin vessel, still in first place, began its deceleration sequence. The Korthaxi ship followed suit. Unit 17, smoking and rattling from its cascade maneuver, showed no signs of slowing. They are not seriously going to. Kellex trailed off, all 4 eye stalks fixed on the display. Human team, advise immediate deceleration. I transmitted, trying to keep my voice steady. The Crimson Veil requires navigational precision. You cannot simply barrel through at current velocity. Coordinator, quick question. Lisa's voice came through, bright and cheerful despite the fact that she was hurtling toward certain death. Your scans show the asteroid rotation patterns, right? Yes. Updated in real time for safety purposes, but perfect. Sending you our projected flight path. Could you confirm we did the math right? A data packet arrived. I opened it, expecting to see some reasonable navigation plot. Instead, I saw what appeared to be a path that threaded through gaps that would not exist when they arrived, requiring split-second timing and precision that even our best navigation computers struggled to achieve. "This is impossible," I said flatly. "These gaps close in milliseconds. The margin for error is less than 0.03 seconds at multiple points, so we did the math right." "Awesome. Thanks." Marcus chimed in, engaging manual override controls. "Manual?" Kellex shrieked. "They are going to fly through the most dangerous obstacle course in 3 systems using manual controls." Through the external cameras, I watched Jackson's hands grip the flight controls. Lisa hunched over her navigation console, calling out timing markers. Marcus monitored structural integrity, occasionally whacking panels with what looked like a primitive hammer. Unit 17 hit the outer edge of the Crimson Veil at full speed. What happened next would be analyzed by racing experts for years to come. The human ship twisted, rolled, and dove through gaps that should not have existed. It spun completely around to avoid a massive boulder, using the rotation to angle toward another gap. The fusion drive fired in short, controlled bursts, not for propulsion but for minute course corrections, that came so rapidly they created a strobing effect on my monitors. "Rocket 3:07", Lisa called out. "Adjusting yaw, cutting thrust, rotating 45 degrees. Jackson responded. "Hull stress at 68%. Marcus shouted. "We can take it. Debris field ahead, gonna need a barrel roll." "On it." The ship actually performed a complete barrel roll while threading between 3 asteroids, each larger than most space stations. Fragments peppered the hull, alarms blared. Something exploded in their engine compartment, but they kept flying, kept weaving, kept somehow staying intact through sheer skill and what I was beginning to suspect was deliberate insanity. They emerged from the Crimson Veil 43 seconds later. In first place, the stadium exploded with noise. Species that had been rivals for millennia were cheering together. The bookmakers stopped taking bets entirely, too stunned to function. "How?" Kellex whispered. "Just how?" I pulled up their ship's internal recordings. Reviewing the footage frame by frame, what I saw made my blood run cold and hot simultaneously. The humans were not using computers for those micro-adjustments. They were calling out verbal commands to each other, processing information faster than our automated systems, making decisions based on instinct and reflexes that their species had evolved over millions of years hunting prey and escaping predators. They were not flying the ship, they were being the ship. "Coordinator." Jackson's voice broke through my analysis. "Quick heads up, our coolant system took some damage in the veil. We might be venting some fluids for the next section. Just so you know, it is not a catastrophic failure or anything." "Might be," I asked weakly. "Okay, fine. We are venting coolant, but only from the secondary system. The primary is at..." Marcus, what percentage is primary coolant?" 37% and dropping. "See? Plenty left. We are totally fine." The next section was relatively straightforward. A long acceleration burn through empty space before hitting the void. The other teams used this time to make repairs and recalibrate systems. The humans used it to argue about whether they should have gone faster through the asteroid field. "I am telling you, if we had cut that last turn tighter, we could have saved another 2 seconds, Jackson insisted. "And I am telling you that we would have lost the entire starboard stabilizer," Marcus shot back. "Which, need I remind you, we kind of need for the atmospheric descent." Boys, Lisa interrupted, her voice sweet but carrying an edge that made both males go quiet. "How about we focus on the part where we are currently winning against ships that cost more than our entire planet's GDP? "Fair point," Jackson conceded. "Okay, status check. What is actually broken versus what is just complaining? Port thruster is misfiring every 3rd burn. Secondary coolant is gone. We have got a crack in the viewport that is definitely getting bigger, the artificial gravity keeps cutting out, and something in the galley is on fire. Is it the coffee maker? No, thank God. Then we ignore it. Priorities, people." I listened to this exchange with growing disbelief. Their ship was falling apart, held together by what they called duct tape and positive thinking, and they were joking about it. The void approached. This was the section that separated champions from pretenders. A region of space where gravitational shear forces created acceleration pressures that could reach 27 Gs. Most species blacked out at 9. Humans, according to their biology files, could tolerate approximately 5 before losing consciousness. The other ships had expensive gravitational dampeners, inertial compensators, and medical support systems to help their pilots survive. Unit 17 had what Jackson called the good drugs and compression suits that looked like they came from a military surplus store. Human team, be advised that recommended maximum velocity through the void is 0.75 light speed, I transmitted. Your species' biology cannot withstand the forces generated at higher velocities. Appreciate the concern, Coordinator. Jackson replied. His voice sounded strange, slightly slurred. They had already begun whatever medical regimen they planned to use. But we did not come here to play it safe. Lisa, Marcus, you ready? Injections administered. Lisa confirmed. Although I swear these stimulants are making my teeth vibrate. That is just your skull compressing from the G-forces. Marcus laughed. That slightly unhinged sound I was becoming familiar with. Totally normal. I hate you both, Lisa said. But she was laughing too. Unit 17 accelerated into the void. The G-force meter spiked immediately. 5 Gs, 7, 10, the human biosigns on my monitor went haywire, as their bodies struggled against forces that should have rendered them unconscious. 2 Ts, 15, still, conscious. Jackson grunted over the channel. His voice barely recognizable. How about you guys? Living the dream, Marcus managed. Gonna throw up later, Lisa gasped. 18 Gs, 20. Their biosigns were doing things that should not be possible. Heart rates at 200 beats per minute. Blood pressure off the charts. Brain activity showing patterns I had never seen before, like their minds were somehow overclocking themselves to stay functional. 23 Gs. And still they flew. Still conscious. Still in control. The other ships fell back, their dampeners unable to compensate for the void's full fury. The Zephyrin vessel slowed to safe speeds. The Cortaxi ship did the same. Unit 17 punched through the void at 0.92 light speed, experiencing forces that should have killed them, and emerged on the other side with their lead extended to nearly 2 full minutes. Status check. Jackson croaked as the G-forces dropped back to tolerable levels. I can taste colors, Lisa reported. My bones hurt, Marcus added. So we are all good. Final stretch, people. Let us bring this home. The final section was the atmospheric descent through Nexara Prime's upper atmosphere. This required precise heat management and deceleration. Too fast and you burned up. Too slow and you lost the race. Standard procedure was to drop to sublight speeds, engage heat shields and glide down to the surface finish line at a safe angle. I should have known by now that the humans would not follow standard procedure. Human team, you are approaching atmosphere at 0.6 light speed. This is far too fast for safe entry. Reduce velocity immediately. Negative, Coordinator. Jackson responded. We ran the numbers. Our hull can handle it. Your primitive steel hull cannot possibly. Steel melts at around 1500 degrees Celsius, Marcus interrupted, his voice filled with something that sounded like academic pride. But we did not just use regular steel. We used an ablative coating made from compressed carbon and ceramic compounds. Basically, we covered our ship in a giant heat shield that burns away as we descend. That is actually quite clever, Kellex admitted grudgingly. Plus, Lisa added, we are going to use the atmospheric friction to help us decelerate. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. What does that expression mean? I asked, confused. Earth saying, means solving 2 problems with 1 solution. Now if you will excuse us, things are about to get spicy. Unit 17. Hit Nexara Prime's atmosphere like a meteor. Flames engulfed the entire hull as ablative shielding burned away in controlled fashion. The ship began to shake violently, rattling apart piece by piece, leaving a trail of debris and superheated plasma across the sky. Every camera in the stadium tracked their descent. 200,000 beings held their collective breath. The ship was disintegrating. Hull panels flew off. The starboard stabilizer Marcus had worried about earlier tore completely free. Flames burst from seams in the hull. It looked less like a racing vessel and more like a dying star falling from heaven. But it was still flying, still controlled, still heading for the finish line. We are losing the port side, Marcus yelled. Do we need the port side? Jackson asked. Not technically, then forget it. Lisa, angle of approach, 42 degrees and perfect. We are going to make it. The other ships were still minutes away, taking safe routes through atmosphere. They would finish. They would survive, but they would not win. Unit 17 screamed across the finish line at a velocity that should have been impossible, trailing fire and debris, having lost approximately 40% of its hull mass to atmospheric friction. Jackson did not slow down. He could not. The ship was too damaged, the controls too compromised. Instead, he aimed for the emergency crash zone, a long stretch of reinforced landing pad designed for exactly this kind of catastrophic finish. The ship hit the pad, bounced twice, scraped along for half a kilometer throwing sparks and molten metal, and finally came to rest against the safety barriers. Silence. Complete silence. From 200,000 spectators. Then the cockpit hatch blew open with an explosive bang. 3 humans climbed out, covered in soot and coolant and blood from various minor injuries. Jackson raised both arms in the air. "We win." The stadium detonated with cheering. The noise was so loud that several sound-dampening systems failed. I teleported down to the crash site immediately, Kellex right behind me. We found the human team being examined by medical personnel who seemed baffled that they were not only alive but celebrating. That was I started, then stopped. I had no words. Insane? Jackson offered helpfully. Reckless. Stupid. Against every safety regulation in known space. I was going to say extraordinary. I corrected. You just won the Galactic Speed Championships in a ship held together with primitive adhesives and sheer determination. And spite, Lisa added. Do not forget spite. We were told we could not compete with the big leagues. That really motivated us. Marcus was examining what was left of their ship. You know what the funny thing is? I think we could have gone faster. Do not, all of us said in unison. The other ships began landing, their pilots emerging to congratulate the humans on a victory that nobody had predicted. The Zephyrin captain approached, his containment field flickering with what I had learned to recognize as respect. Your flying was acceptable, he said, which from a Zephyran was equivalent to declaring them gods. The Korthaxi commander extended a biomechanical tendril. You fight gravity like warriors fight enemies, with no fear and much honor. Over the next hours I watched as the human team accepted their trophy, a crystalline sculpture worth more than their entire ship had been. They posed for holographic captures, gave interviews where they alternated between technical explanations and terrible jokes, and generally charmed every species present. Later, much later after the celebrations had died down, I found Jackson sitting alone on what remained of Unit 17's hull, looking up at the stars. Coordinator Vorn. He greeted me. Come to tell us we are banned from racing again. Actually, I came to ask a question. I settled beside him, careful not to damage the fragile metal. Why risk everything? Your lives, your ship, your reputation, for a race. Jackson was quiet for a moment. You want the real answer or the one that sounds good for the press? The real one. Humans, we have been the underdogs for our entire existence. Fighting gravity to leave our planet, fighting distance to reach the stars, fighting assumptions that we are too primitive, too aggressive, too human to belong out here. He gestured at the sky. Every time we do something impossible, every time we succeed where others say we should fail, we prove that being human is not a weakness. It is a strength, I said quietly. Exactly. We do not have quantum drives or biomechanical ships or gravitational manipulation, but we have stubbornness, creativity, and a complete inability to accept the word impossible. He laughed. Plus it was really fun.
You almost died.
Multiple times. Yeah, but we almost died. We did not actually die. Big difference. I shook my head, tendrils swaying with amusement. You humans are going to give the entire galaxy collective heart failures. Probably, Jackson agreed cheerfully. But at least it will not be boring. The next morning, registration opened for next year's championships. Unit 18 was already being built in Earth's orbital shipyards, incorporating lessons learned from this race. And according to the humans it would be even faster. I immediately began updating our medical facilities and expanding the emergency response teams. Something told me we were going to need them.
If you love HFY content, you are watching Sci-Fi HFY channel. Please stay tuned to my channel for more engaging and interesting stories like this.